The enormous reptilian predators tore through the humans, ripping their flesh apart as the humans screamed. The predators, standing nearly 3 meters tall with sharp claws and armored scales, saw humans as just another species to conquer. They were wrong. Captain Aura, confident on the bridge of his warship, and the most feared commander of the Colet Empire, approached with his fleet of 100 ships armed with plasma weapons to the human star system called Sol. The apes had barely invented space travel. Enslaving them would be easy. However, upon entering the system, Aura was surprised to see that humans had already established colonies on several planets and moons. Their technology was better than intelligence had reported. This would be a real fight, and if his fleet failed, the Colet Empire would be doomed. Aura growled with his fangs. The hunt had begun. The Colet warships descended upon the human colonies like a swarm of locusts. The plasma cannons, charged with a sinister hum, aimed at the settlements below. Aura watched the tactical display with a predatory smile, savoring the moment before the massacre. He expected the primitive humans to scatter, in terror, easy prey for his warriors. However, when the first plasma rays rained down, the humans counterattacked with a ferocity that stunned the Colet. Missiles launched from hidden silos crashed into the Colet ship hulls, and orbital defense platforms unleashed torrents of railgun fire that tore through the attackers' armor. The attack ships engaged the invaders, dodging with incredible agility. "Commander, we are suffering heavy losses," reported one of Aura's officers, panic creeping into his voice. "Their weapons are piercing our shields." Aura dug his claws into the armrests of his command chair. These humans were far more formidable than he had anticipated. Their technology might not have been as advanced, but they wielded it with lethal skill and creativity. He watched as a human fighter, trailing flames and debris, crashed into a Colet ship, the resulting explosion consuming both vessels. As the battle raged in space, Colet drop pods landed on the outskirts of the colony. Armored warriors emerged with plasma rifles ready, hungry for blood. But the human defenders were waiting. Powered armor clashed with the Colet in brutal close-quarters combat, while snipers picked off reptilian officers with pinpoint precision. Aura's frustration grew as reports flooded in. The humans were inflicting heavy casualties on his troops. "We need to understand how they're doing this," he ordered. "How can they be such skilled warriors? Take prisoners. I want to interrogate them myself." The Colet managed to capture a small group of human soldiers, dragging them kicking and screaming onto a transport ship. Aura entered the detention cell, his massive frame dwarfing the captives. One of them, a man with the bearing of a leader, looked at him defiantly. "I am Lieutenant Marcus Reeves of the United Earth Forces," he said firmly. "That's all you'll get from me, you scaly bastard." Aura chuckled, a deep rumble in his throat. He admired this human spirit even as he longed to crush it. "You will tell me everything. Your weapons, your tactics, your weaknesses, or I will make you suffer as no creature has suffered before." Reeves only laughed in his face. "You have no idea what you started," he spat. "Earth does not bow to invaders. We've been preparing for this day for a long time, and now that you've challenged us, you'll regret it." The other humans joined in, hurling insults and defiance at their captors. Aura roared in fury, slashing with his claws. But even as human blood splattered the deck, they kept laughing. "Enough! Execute them all," he bellowed as the Colet guards dragged the prisoners away. Reeves looked at Aura one last time with a defiant smile, tapping a small device hidden behind his ear. A burst of static hissed, followed by a series of clicks and beeps, a distress signal. The human had sent a call for help to his homeworld. Aura felt a sudden chill run down his spine. The hunt, he realized, had only just begun. Aura slammed his fist on the command console, the metal denting under the force of his blow. The losses from the initial assault on the human colonies had been far greater than he could have ever anticipated. These primitives fought with a skill and ferocity that belied their status as an upstart spacefaring species. "Regroup the remaining ships," Aura growled to his subordinates. We will show these humans the true power of the Colet Empire. The battered fleet regrouped, licking its wounds as it prepared for a full-scale invasion of the humans' homeworld. Aura would not make the same mistake of underestimating these apes again. This time, he would bring the full might of the Colet military to bear. As the warships entered Earth's atmosphere, alarms blared across the bridge. Sensors detected a massive barrage of incoming missiles. "Incoming nuclear missiles," shouted one of the officers. "Prepare for impact." The Colet shields, designed to withstand the heat and energy of plasma, flared to life. But when the missiles detonated against the shimmering barriers, the ship shuddered violently. Warning lights flashed red. How is this possible? Aura gripped his command chair as the deck tilted beneath him. "Our shields are failing, Commander. We're detecting energy spikes from the surface," reported another officer, his voice trembling. "They have weapons we've never seen before." Beams of intense light shot up from hidden batteries on the ground, cutting through the Colet ships like a hot knife through butter. The advanced energy weapons ignored the shields, burning through hulls and vaporizing unfortunate crew members in their path. Aura felt a sinking sensation in his gut as he watched his fleet being torn apart. The humans had been holding back during the initial skirmishes, and they had weapons capable of challenging even the Colet's advanced technology. "We need boots on the ground," he said, his mind racing. "If we can capture their leaders, we can force them to surrender. We can still salvage this invasion." The Colet ground forces, the pride of the Empire, landed in the major population centers across the planet. They stormed the streets with plasma rifles, cutting down any human foolish enough to stand in their way. But as they pushed deeper into the cities, the resistance only intensified. Human soldiers clad in sleek powered armor emerged from hidden bunkers and fortified positions. They moved with a speed and agility the bulky Colet could not match, darting between buildings and firing with devastating accuracy. Aura's frustration mounted as his troops were picked off one by one. The humans employed guerrilla tactics, striking hard and fast before melting back into the shadows. "They seem to have an uncanny ability to predict our movements," Aura muttered, his claws digging into the armrests of his chair. "They're always one step ahead." As the ground battles raged, the humans continued to employ unconventional weapons and tactics. Swarms of drones buzzed overhead, dropping explosive charges on Colet positions. Colet equipment was hacked and turned against its users, sowing chaos and confusion among the invaders. Aura's frustration turned to rage as reports of mounting losses flooded in. The humans were outmaneuvering him at every turn, both in space and on the ground. The galaxy's apex predators were being pushed back by a species they had once considered little more than prey. Aura slammed his fist on the console, the metal crumpling under the force of his blow. The battle on Earth was not going as planned. The humans were proving far more resilient and resourceful than he had ever anticipated. Their guerrilla tactics and advanced weaponry were taking a heavy toll on his ground forces. Suddenly, an urgent transmission from the Colet homeworld cut through the chaos on the bridge. Aura's blood ran cold as he heard the terrified voice of the commander of the Colet High Council. "We are under attack," the counselor shouted, the sound of explosions and alarms nearly drowning out his words. "A human fleet has entered our system and is overwhelming our defenses." Aura's mind raced as he processed this shocking development. The humans had launched a counterattack against the Colet Empire itself. It was a bold and unexpected move, one he had not considered possible given the humans' previously unknown technological capabilities. "How many ships?" Aura demanded, his voice barely concealing his growing fear and rage. "At least 100 warships," the counselor replied, his voice trembling, "all equipped with the same weapons they built to defend their own world. They are being led by an Admiral Isaac Novak. Our defenses are crumbling. We need reinforcements now." Aura's claws dug into his palms, drawing blood. He was torn between his duty to conquer Earth and his desire to save his own species from annihilation. The humans had outmaneuvered him at every turn, and now they were threatening the very heart of the Colet Empire. With great reluctance, Aura made his decision. "All ships, prepare to withdraw from Earth," he ordered, his voice thick with barely contained anger. "We must return to defend the homeworld." As the Colet fleet disengaged from Earth and set course for their home system, Aura couldn't shake the feeling that he was falling into another human trap. His suspicions were confirmed when they arrived in the Colet system, only to find a massive human fleet waiting for them. The sleek, elegant human warships had established a blockade around the system, cutting off any possibility of escape or reinforcement. Aura's fleet was trapped between the hammer of the human attackers and the anvil of their own besieged world. "Sir, we received a transmission from the human flagship," reported one of the Colet officers, his voice trembling. Aura's eyes narrowed as the image of a human admiral appeared on the screen. The man was tall, broad-shouldered, with a face etched with determination and a hint of triumph. "Commander Aura, I am Admiral Isaac Novak of the United Earth Fleet," the human said, his voice calm and confident. "Your invasion of our world has failed. Your forces are in disarray, and your homeworld is under our control. I demand your immediate and unconditional surrender." Aura growled, his claws leaving deep gouges in the armrests of his command chair. The human's words were like daggers to his pride, but he could not deny their truth. The Colet Empire, once the galaxy's undisputed apex predators, had been brought to its knees by a species they had once considered little more than prey. The battle for Earth had been lost, and with it, the future of the Colet hung in the balance. Aura knew he had gravely underestimated the humans, and now his species would pay the price for his arrogance. As the human fleet closed in, weapons primed and ready, Aura faced the most difficult decision of his life. To surrender would be to admit defeat and shatter the very foundations of Colet society. But to fight on would risk the complete annihilation of his species. With a heavy heart, Aura made his choice. The fate of the Colet Empire and the future of his people now lay in the hands of the humans they had once sought to conquer. Aura's claws twitched with barely contained rage as he stared at the screen. Admiral Novak's face was a mask of calm determination. The human admiral had outmaneuvered him at every turn, and now the Colet Empire teetered on the brink of collapse. But Aura refused to accept defeat. His predatory instincts screamed at him to fight back. "Admiral Novak," Aura growled, his voice filled with menace, "I challenge you to a duel, according to the ancient traditions of the Colet, a battle between leaders to decide the fate of our species. Do you accept?" Novak's eyes narrowed, a flash of surprise crossing his features before being replaced with steely resolve. "I accept your challenge, Commander. Name the time and place." Aura bared his fangs in a savage grin. "We will meet on the neutral planet of Ceres in one Earth day. Come alone and unarmed. We will settle this as true warriors." The human admiral nodded curtly. "I will be there." When the transmission ended, the bridge crew erupted into a cacophony of hisses and growls. "Commander, this is a mistake," one of his officers protested. "The humans have proven treacherous. This could be a trap." Aura silenced him with a fierce glare. "I will not cower before these apes," he growled. "I am a Colet warrior, and I will face our enemy with honor." The journey to Ceres was tense. The Colet fleet maintained a wary distance from the human ships, which shadowed their every move. Aura spent the time in silent meditation, centering his mind and body for the battle to come. When they arrived at the designated coordinates, Aura was sent alone to the planet's surface as agreed. The landscape was a barren expanse of red sand and jagged rocks, the sky above a sickly green. There, standing in the midst of the desolation, was Admiral Novak. The human was clad in a form-fitting combat suit, his posture relaxed but alert. He carried no visible weapons, but Aura knew better than to underestimate him. "I'm surprised you came alone," Aura shouted as he approached, his claws flexing. "No army to protect you." Novak smiled faintly. "I don't need an army to defeat you, Aura. I've been studying your species for years. learning your weaknesses. This fight was over before it began. Aura roared in fury and charged, his massive body covering the distance between them in seconds. But Novak was ready for him. The human ducked under Aura's slashing claws and delivered a series of devastating blows to the Kolit's joints and pressure points. Aura staggered back, his eyes wide with shock. The human moved with a speed and precision that should have been impossible for his species, countering every attack with surgical precision. The battle raged across the barren landscape, the two combatants locked in a deadly dance. Aura's ferocity met Novak's skill and cunning, and neither could gain a decisive advantage. But as the fight wore on, Aura began to tire. His movements grew slightly slower and clumsier, and Novak pressed his advantage, raining blows on the exhausted Kolit until Aura fell to his knees broken. "How?" Aura gasped, his voice thick with pain and humiliation. "How could a human defeat me?" Novak stood over him, his expression grim. "We've been preparing for this war for decades," he said. "Ever since we first detected your species' aggressive expansion, we studied everything we could about your biology, your technology, your tactics. And then we developed countermeasures." The human admiral crouched and grabbed Aura by the neck, hauling him to his feet. "Your arrogance as a species was your downfall, Aura. You underestimated us. You thought us weak and primitive, but in doing so, you sealed your own fate." Novak released his grip, and Aura collapsed to the ground, defeated in body and spirit. The human stood over him like a vengeful god, passing judgment on the fallen. "I'm giving you a choice, Aura," Novak said, his voice firm. "Surrender unconditionally and order your forces to stand down, or refuse and watch as I wipe your species from existence. The Kolit Empire ends today, one way or another." Aura looked up at his conqueror, despair and rage warring in his heart. To surrender would be to admit defeat, to betray everything the Kolit stood for. But to defy the humans now would be to condemn his entire species to extinction. In that moment, Aura knew that the era of Kolit dominance had come to an end. The galaxy's apex predators had been outmatched and outmaneuvered by a species they had once considered little more than prey. With a shuddering breath, Aura bowed his head in submission. "I surrender," he whispered, the words tasting like ashes on his tongue. "The Kolit Empire is yours." Novak nodded solemnly, his face a mask of grim satisfaction. "A wise choice, Commander. Your species will be spared, but the Kolit will never threaten us again. That I can promise you." As Aura was led away in chains, he couldn't help but marvel at the cruel irony of fate. The Kolit had set out to conquer the humans, to enslave them and claim their world as their own. But in the end, it was the humans who had conquered them. Their superior intellect and adaptability had triumphed over the brute strength and savagery of the Kolit. The galaxy would never be the same, and Aura realized that the balance of power had shifted. A new era had begun, an era in which the humans, once dismissed as weak and primitive, would reign supreme as the undisputed masters of the stars. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. For every comment that says 44, I'll leave a heart. Thank you for your time.